Hello and welcome back if you're not new. If you are, welcome to my channel, Spoon Stop.
Patagonia in South America, and I'm looking for something rather special.
Warm baby, warm baby, warm baby,
Hello and welcome back if you're not new. If you are, welcome to my channel, Spoon Stop. My name is Michelle Carpenter, and on this channel, I primarily talk about fraud and scams and call myself out on the cold team manipulation tactics that I learned and used during my time spent inside the multi-level marketing industrial complex. This is very different from that kind of content. So if you sought me out for anti-MLM, I'm sorry to disappoint, but I welcome you to keep watching anyway. And I'll tell you how I think the topic of this video relates to Big Pyramid, because of course I will, after I explain what we're really doing here today. So as you can see by the title of this video, wouldn't it be funny though if future me were to like play a trick, play a trick on current me? And make the title of this video have absolutely nothing to do with the topic? I probably would do that. What am I talking about? So anyway, today I am going to speak about the importance of neurodiversity inclusion in the workplace. So of course, I believe that diversity and inclusion is important in all workplaces and everywhere. But in the context of this video, when I say the workplace, I'm talking about a corporate job. I'm talking about like the place where I am employed full-time. I'm in IT. I work for a major retail company. We have a lot of stores around the country, and I'm their IT guy. All right, so now I'm going to go off script a little bit, and that worries me because I am short on time and I am not a very concise person. So here we go. In my corporate job, we have several different employee resource groups, or ERGs. I think that's pretty common in a lot of corporate environments. I am personally a part of the D&I, Diversity and Inclusion group at my company. And I was honored to have been asked recently to facilitate a talk on neurodiversity. This diversity and inclusion group that I'm in plans 4 different events, one for each quarter, and we invite everyone who is part of our company to attend, but it's all optional. It's just extracurricular. If you want to learn about the topic that we're talking about this month, then join us at this time, etc. So I actually was the one who threw neurodiversity out there as something that maybe we should talk about in a future event. And nobody had ever heard of it. Nobody knew what neurodiversity was, let alone neurodiversity inclusion or how it related to the workplace. And it excited them. So when I started explaining the paradigm and the movement, everyone was like, this makes perfect sense. Why don't we already talk about this? Let's do it. Teach us. So I kind of accidentally became a bit of an expert on neurodiversity. I am neurodivergent, for the record. I think I say that in the video that I'm about to play for you guys. So I was just blown away and extremely humbled, extremely excited to be able to present this topic. And I felt a great sense of responsibility because nobody even knew what it was in the planning group. And that's okay. None of those other people identified themselves to me as neurodivergent in any way. So essentially on that planning committee, I was really the only person who struggles with this kind of thing, but everyone was super into learning more about it and how they can make their workspace, their environment, and how they go about their day more accessible and really be able to communicate with and work with people whose brains work differently, just to make the workplace more enjoyable and productive and creative and just a better place to be for everyone in general. So what I decided to do really, because I did most of the planning for this, I had a ton of help from different organizations within the company that I work for, It was really great how everyone came together. But as far as putting the format together, that kind of fell to me. And what we ended up deciding to do was, so one of the neurodivergences that I struggle with personally is really not being able to get my message across, especially if I have people watching me. So I guess a form of stage fright. I can come on here. I hate going live unless I'm with someone else because I don't like to be the entertainer. I don't like being conscious of people hearing me say and not being able to think of what I'm trying to say right away. And I understand that everyone, no one's perfect and no one's perfectly articulate all the time, and that's fine. But it causes me anxiety. I have a fear of being observed. And it's really just being observed live, I guess, because I was able to record this video. So what I did was I just introduced myself to this event that we held. There were over 400 people there, right? This is just wild because most of these events have like 1 or 200 attendees. And so many people were interested in this topic and showed up. I was just so overwhelmed with how wonderfully it went. And one of the reasons that it went so smoothly, I think, is because we embraced a format that was different from what we've ever done before by having me pre-record my presentation and then just introduce myself and then play my video instead of just doing the presentation live for everyone. It took so much pressure off of me, and I think it got the message across a lot better than it would have had I just been doing a PowerPoint live. So I'm really, really excited to share the video that I made here on my YouTube channel because I'm really proud of it. And I think that it's important that everyone embrace neurodiversity inclusion in their workplace and in their lives and just everywhere. And I would love to help spread that message and spread awareness of the differences between the way people process information and sensory triggers and stimulus and just so many different things that a lot of the people who attended my event had no idea about beforehand. Or a lot of the feedback that I got was, I'm so glad someone's talking about this. This is why I hate sharing my screen. I swear to God, it's not because I'm lazy or whatever. I just freeze up and don't know what I'm doing. That's how I am. And I think that it's important that all workplaces kind of take a look at what their actual like structure that's in place, the rules they have, the way that they run their meetings, the way that they require certain service agreements, the way that they even interact with their coworkers. If you work in an office, the things that you bring in, scents, noises, things like that, that we can all just be more conscious of. All of this is just important information to have out there, I think. And so I would like to share this video. But yes, keep in mind, I did initially record this video for my workplace. So if anything seems kind of weirdly specific to a situation you're not privy to or anything like that, it's because it's not, this video wasn't really recorded for publication on YouTube. It was recorded for an internal event, and I was just too proud of it not to share it on my platform. So let me know what y'all think in the comments, because I'm a little nervous to share it, but I'm also really proud of what I did. And I'd love it if it started a conversation. So tell me, what are your thoughts? How is neurodiversity handled in your workplace? Do you have ADHD, OCD? Are you autistic? Do you deal with sensory issues or processing issues, things like that impact your ability to get your job done, or even impact your ability to think outside the box, think creatively, come up with better solutions for the company that you work for, anything like that? Like, let me know in the comments. Tell me if this is an issue at your work, or if you work for someplace that is, that has a neurodiversity initiative. I'd really love to hear about it. Seriously. And also, go follow neurodivergent_insights on Instagram, because I got the majority of my content and my information for this video from her. She is absolutely amazing. Highly recommend. All right. So without further ado, I will shut the F up and play my video. Thank you, Me, for what I assume was a super flattering introduction, and thank you everyone for joining us today. As a forward-thinking neurodivergent problem solver, neurodiversity inclusion in all aspects of life, but especially in the workplace, is a topic that's really near and dear to my heart. So it's truly an honor for me to have been given the opportunity to shed some light on why I believe that embracing a neurodiversity-inclusive paradigm is good for all employees and not just those of us with cognitive variations. Some of the fun markers of neurodivergence that I personally have been blessed with are both an incessant need to over-explain everything and a seeming inability to be concise. So please keep in mind that this 10-minute video is only going to be the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all that we have to learn and do to make our workplace safe and accessible for everyone. In this video, we're going to be defining some key terminology in the workplace neurodiversity conversation. Next, we will touch on some of the ways neurodivergent people experience the workplace differently than neurotypical people might. Then, I'm going to do my best to convince you that neurodiversity inclusion is critical for any business wishing to secure talent and maintain relevance in today's fast-changing world. So, let's jump in. Neurodiversity. The term neurodiversity comes from Judy Singer, an Australian sociologist who coined the word in 1998 to acknowledge that everyone's brain develops in a unique way. Like a person's fingerprints, no two brains, not even those of identical twins, are exactly the same. Because of that, there's no definition of normal capabilities for the human brain. Neurodiversity, like the broader term diversity, can simply refer to the existence of these differences, or it can refer to the social movement to view our human variations from a strengths-based lens, to rewrite unspoken rules that disadvantage neurodivergent people, break down stigmas and barriers, and permanently shift the societal perspective away from viewing differences as defects. Neurodivergent and neurotypical. With its origin in autism activist language, neurodivergent is now a widely embraced umbrella term, which is used to refer to anyone whose cognitive function varies from what is considered to be the norm. Neurodivergent people may have been diagnosed with autism, ADHD, OCD, Tourette's, or learning disabilities like dyslexia, dyspraxia, or others. Or maybe they don't have a diagnosis at all, but experience the world a little bit differently than neurotypical people. Some definitions of neurodivergent also include mental illnesses and personality disorders. However, this is controversial among many advocates who believe this implies there is a defect or that there is something to be cured rather than embraced and accommodated for. Neurodivergent is commonly shortened to just the letters ND within disability communities, so keep that in mind if I refer to it that way in this video because words are hard. Neurotypical, on the flip side, is exactly what it sounds like. It's a descriptor for anyone who does not fit the definition of neurodivergent. When a neurodivergent person chooses to make others aware that their brain is wired differently, this is called self-disclosure. Self-disclosure can look different not just for each ND person, but for each of those persons' relationships too. When someone self-discloses their neurotype, depending on their personal identification and comfort level, the intimacy of the relationship, the contextual necessity of the disclosure, and countless other factors, they may choose to disclose individual symptoms which directly impact the situation at hand, or perhaps they feel comfortable simply naming their neurotype. Navigating the question of whether to self-disclose and how much to share in a given situation can act as an additional barrier in the workplace for neurodivergent people. One neurotypical people don't even really have to think about. This can be especially difficult for ND people who are prone to oversharing or have trouble interpreting social cues, both common markers of neurodivergence. Before a self-disclosure, an ND person may have to ask themselves, can I trust this person not to treat me any differently after I share this information? Will disclosing that I struggle with this aspect of my job more than my peers affect the way this person judges and values my work going forward? If I keep it surface level and just tell this person that I have sensory issues, will I be expected to educate them on exactly what that means? Honestly, it's a lot. Most neurodivergent people I've spoken to still haven't really figured out how exactly they feel most comfortable self-disclosing their neurotypes. But there are free resources out there for people looking to do just that, if you know where to find them. Linked in the description below, I'm including a free tool designed by Dr. Megan Anna Neff of neurodivergentinsights.com. Dr. Neff is a neurodivergent psychologist who has dedicated her entire practice to neurodiversity advocacy, and I have found her unique thermometer approach to self-disclosure to be a game changer. Now, I won't go too deep into Dr. Neff's method in this video, but I will pop her example up on the screen for just a minute. The concept involves identifying the different levels at which one would be comfortable self-disclosing their neurodivergence and ranking them on a scale of cool, share a little, to hot, share a lot. Those who share a little or only when absolutely necessary may choose to simply disclose that they have sensory issues or executive dysfunction, both common struggles for ND people in a world built for neurotypicals. For this reason, neurotypical people need to have a sense of what that means. So let's quickly take a high-level look at some of the most common neurodivergences that can pose obstacles for ND people in the workplace. The phrase sensory issues can mean many things. So just try and remember that sensory refers to the standard 5 senses: touch, sight, hearing, smell, and taste. When something stimulates one of these senses in someone with sensory processing issues, it can register as a lot more overwhelming than it would for a neurotypical person. For example, the scent of a coworker's perfume. A neurodivergent person with olfactory SPD, sensory processing disorder, may find that a scent that is pleasant or neutral to other people is distracting and overwhelming to them. Other sensory issues all point back to those 5 primary senses. Registering of high-pitched sounds and sensitivity to bright lights are also common markers of neurodivergence, and both can be terribly distracting, even in an otherwise peaceful workplace. Trust me. Auditory processing issues are technically included when we talk about sensory issues, but I feel like they are commonly overlooked or dismissed as poor hearing, especially by neurotypical people. Some examples. Background noise may register as very loud and distracting, or worse, it may register exactly the same as the words coming out of someone else's mouth during a conversation, making it impossible for you to hear what they're saying, even though you can hear what they're saying. For people with auditory processing issues, blocking out background noise can feel like a full-time job. Executive dysfunction. If you haven't heard the phrase executive dysfunction, you haven't been on TikTok in the past 2 years. I like to think of executive function as the thousands of tiny little decisions that I make throughout the day without thinking at all. But if that's too philosophical for you, it encompasses skills like following directions, having proportionate emotional reactions, completing tasks that you've started, organization, and prioritization. Just the little stuff. Now, that's not to say that people with executive dysfunction are bad at those things. Quite the opposite. We've got to ditch that good versus bad mentality when it comes to neurodiversity. Living with executive dysfunction often leads to being just as good or bad at prioritizing and organizing as anyone else. The difference is that a neurodivergent person with executive dysfunction issues is even more likely to have learned or strengthened other skills to get to that point. They've often had to be creative and find new ways to work smarter. So, at the beginning of this video, I said that I was going to do my best to convince you that neurodiversity inclusion is critical for any business wishing to secure talent and maintain relevance in this fast-changing world. I hope that simply laying out for you what neurodiversity is will have convinced you at the very least that different isn't defective. But different can be so much more than just not defective. These differences, while presenting certain challenges, also contain often untapped strengths for everyone. In a 2020 press release, which will be linked in the description below, along with the rest of my sources, the manager of the neurodiversity training program at a major energy corporation actually did a really great job of summing up what we currently know of the benefits of embracing neurodiversity inclusion in the workplace. The passion and creative minds of neurodiverse individuals enable them to think and resolve challenges differently, and that's what every company needs. The truth is, we won't know what the world is missing out on by clinging to these stigmas and outdated status quos until we begin to dismantle them. I'm ready.
Patagonia in South America, and I'm looking for something rather special.
One baby, bum bum, one baby, bum bum, one baby, bum bum, pee.